Welcome to the Sweat Simple podcast. I'm Brooks, and I'm an online fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach who's here to help you learn how to eat and exercise for real life, not just those perfect moments. Because let's be real, there is a lot of conflicting information online, and it can be hard to know what's legit and who to trust. In every episode, I'll be sharing the science and psychology behind health, fitness, and long-lasting behavior change, but I'll also be sharing practical, real-life application because all of the best info in the world only matters if you can apply it to your real life. So grab a coffee, water, glass of wine, or lace up your walking shoes, and let's dive in. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Sweat Simple podcast. I am super excited about today's topic because we are talking all about what to expect in month 1 versus month 6 of starting a new health and fitness routine. Because I think that a lot of us go into like a new health and fitness routine with a lot of excitement, a lot of hope, and we just kind of expect like everything is going to magically fall into place. And this is why when you are following some sort of program or some sort of routine and it is only focused on the plan itself. So, for example, maybe you're working with a macro coach and they only give you macros, or you decide to start a new fitness routine and you only have the workouts. It's great to have a plan, but if you have been struggling to follow through and you've been struggling to stay consistent with a plan, maybe for many, many years, that's not quite enough. And that's why you're probably feeling a little bit frustrated with this process, because when we think about wanting to stay consistent long term with health and fitness routines, with a health and fitness plans, we're not just talking about following through and taking action. What we're really talking about is behavior change. And when we think about creating a new life, when we think about becoming a healthier version of ourselves, what we're really talking about is a ton of tiny little behaviors that add up over the course of a week, over the course of a month, over the course of a year. And because of that, it's not quite enough to only think that we can just follow a plan and everything will magically switch. All of a sudden, we are a new person. We have all this motivation. We have all of this willpower. And you might think that that's true because maybe at the start of this plan, you're having all that hope. You're having all that excitement. You think that the switch has magically happened and you are this new motivated person. But then after a few weeks, you stop showing up to the gym. You don't feel like tracking calories. You fall back into stress eating. And I just want to very much normalize that because it is not enough to just follow a plan. We truly need to start to change our health and fitness behaviors. And that is a hard thing to do. It is hard to change our behaviors. It's easier with the support of a coach like myself. And this is something I help my one-on-one coaching clients with every single day, but it is hard work. And I want to give you a little bit of a better picture of what you can expect in this first month when you're trying to change your behaviors, when you're trying to start a new routine, so that you can have the right expectations and you can know what's coming down the pipeline so that when it is feeling clunky, when it is maybe feeling a little bit hard, you have this podcast in the back of your mind and you can remind yourself, oh, right, Brooke said that I might feel this and Brooke said that this might be normal. That way you're not feeling like you're the only one going through this. You're the only one struggling, because that is absolutely not the case. And this is a really great podcast episode to save for the new year too, because that tends to be the time when a lot of us are pressing restart on our health and fitness goals, or we're trying something new. So make sure you keep this one in your podcast log. Make sure you subscribe to the pod so that new episodes keep popping up, but save this one for the new year. So what can we expect in month 1 when we are trying to change our health and fitness behaviors or starting a new health and fitness routine? Number 1, you are probably going to overestimate your motivation and underestimate your hurdles. There are going to be a lot of times where you don't want to show up and do the thing. And this is why setting those initial plans can be hard, because when we are at the start of a program, we're really excited and our motivation is high. And we think, because of how high it is in that moment, that it's going to stay high. So we say, I'm for sure going to get to the gym 5 days a week. I am for sure going to track my calories. I will have no problem at social events because I am so motivated right now that I am just going to crush it. We really overestimate that sense of motivation. And I don't say this to discourage you and say, like, hey, you're going to lose that motivation. I say this so that you can set realistic expectations and you can start to plan for the fact that motivation will fade. Because when we are overestimating that motivation, we're also underestimating our hurdles. We are forgetting about all of the reasons that this has been hard in the past. We don't tend to pay attention to the busy weeks at work, that time when our motivation does dip. We forget about social events and that our friends often invite us out to eat. We really underestimate everything that has made this difficult in the past, and we really just assume we're going to figure it out. And I love that hope. I love that optimism. But if we can get a little bit more realistic about, hey, what are the things that have made this hard in the past? And how can I start to plan and expect those things? You're actually going to be a lot more consistent and you're going to see a lot more success. So, when we're thinking about this first month of jumping into a new routine, we can't only plan for best case scenario. We also need to keep in mind all of those hurdles that have been there in the past. They're still going to be there, and we need to plan and expect for that. The second thing that you can expect in month one is that you will fall off plan or off track. And again, I'm not saying this to discourage you, and I don't want you thinking, like, why would I even start if I'm just going to fall off plan or I'm going to have like off days? I'm telling you this so that when those do happen, you know, hey, this is normal. Brooke said that this is going to happen. I tell all of my clients this. I say, hey, we're not going to be perfect. There are absolutely going to be times where things don't go to plan and where you're not super proud of how you handled things. That's okay, because when I share with them and when you can start to expect these things, you're a lot less likely to have it turn into a full week or a full month of being off track. You can know, hey, okay, this is going to happen. So when it does happen, I'm okay with it. I'm not feeling as guilty and I'm able to jump back into it more quickly. Like, falling off plan, falling off track, this is just the case within the first few months of starting a new routine. Those old hurdles, those are still going to be there. And your new behaviors that you're trying to build, the new skills that you're working on, those are still feeling hard. It still feels hard not to turn to food when you're feeling stressed. It still feels hard to make good choices at social events. It still feels hard to listen to your hunger and fullness cues. So, of course, because you don't have a lot of practice doing these things, you're going to have days that don't go as planned. So keep that in mind and remind yourself, if I keep practicing these things, it's going to get easier and I'm going to fall off plan. I'm going to fall off track less and less as time goes on. The third thing that I want you to expect is that all of this is going to feel pretty clunky and the scale is not going to move as much as you would expect it to, which is going to be frustrating. And you're going to start to question the process, especially if in the past you have always done some sort of diet where you just are really restrictive and you lose a lot of weight in a short amount of time. It's probably going to be frustrating to not have the scale drop down at that same rate. And again, this is something I always set expectations with my clients at the start of coaching is this first month. This is not about pressing your foot all the way down on the gas and making as much progress as possible. This first month is about truly setting the foundation so that you can make more progress as time goes on. Because when we are working on new behaviors, when we are working on new skills, it's going to feel clunky. Like we talked about, those old hurdles are going to pop up. You're going to have days where things don't go to plan. And because of that, the scale probably won't move as quickly as you would like it to. And you're going to feel a little bit frustrated with that. But if you can remember that this first month is not about making the most progress, it's about setting the foundation, you're not going to feel quite as frustrated when you're not seeing those big drops on the scale. You're not going to feel quite as frustrated when this is still feeling clunky. So really keep that in mind, that it's okay if you're feeling frustrated. It's okay if the scale isn't moving as much. That doesn't mean that that's what your next 6 months are going to look like, but it is how your first month is going to feel. All right, the fourth thing that you can expect when we jump into a new health and fitness routine is that you will start to build up some resilience. You will start to have all of this start to feel easier because you're starting to put in the reps and you're starting to practice these new skills, these new behaviors, these new habits so that they start to feel easier. You're going to start to have less days where you're falling off track. You're going to start to learn from those days that you fell off track. And every time that you just get back to these new behaviors, every time that you're able to practice these new skills that you're building, maybe it's meal prepping, maybe it's leaving food on your plate, maybe it's navigating social events with ease, whatever the new skills, whatever the new behaviors that you're building on this new health and fitness journey, the longer you do them, the more practice you're getting, the easier they're going to feel. So you are going to start to feel that sense of this is going to feel easier and you're going to really build up some resilience. The last thing you can expect in month 1 is that you'll start to realize that these hurdles and the sorts of things that pull you off course, they're happening less and less frequently. So maybe it used to be that every single weekend when your friends invited you to a social event, that threw you completely off the rails. But because you've been working and practicing this skill of not throwing in the towel over the weekend, all of a sudden you notice that that's no longer your go-to. You're not always throwing in the towel every time a social event pops up. It's getting easier to navigate. So all of those hurdles that we know to expect, they're starting to get easier to navigate. They're popping up less frequently and you're able to navigate them with a lot more ease. All right, so we know in month 1 that we are probably going to overestimate our motivation and underestimate our hurdles. We're probably going to have some off plan or off track days. We might feel frustrated by the scale and question if this process is working, but we're also going to start to build some resilience. This is starting to feel easier. And we're starting to realize that the hurdles that used to really throw us off track aren't popping up quite as frequently anymore. So, what can we expect in month 6? We've been working on these health and fitness behaviors for 6 months. We have been in this health and fitness routine for 6 months. What can we expect? Things are starting to feel more cemented. We're a lot further along with these habits and behaviors. But something I want to keep in mind too is that we are going to be on a different path and a different timeline depending on the behaviors and the skills that you're building. So maybe for some of you, I hear this a lot on discovery calls. You're like, workouts are not a problem for me. Workouts are really easy. So maybe with following through on your workouts, you feel like those are like locked in at this point. You are like really further along. But nutrition has always been a bit of a struggle for you. So maybe you're not quite to the same place with getting to the gym consistently as you are with leaving food on your plate. I just want to normalize that even when you're 6 months into that, you are going to be at different phases of this timeline for different behaviors. We're not moving linear for every single habit and every single skill that we're working on. So keep that in mind. What we can also expect, though, is we're not having to think about these behaviors quite as much to make them happen. Because we've gotten in so many reps, because we've practiced them so much, they're really starting to feel like second nature, and we're not putting in as much cognitive effort to make them happen. This is the benefit of sticking with it and continuing to put in those reps, even when it's feeling hard, because the more reps that we can put in, the more practice that we can put in, it's going to feel easier as time goes on. The second thing that we can expect in month 6 is that we're starting to realize that the things that used to be hurdles for us no longer are really feeling like hurdles at all. The things that really used to trip us up no longer are. So in month 1, we were really working on not throwing in the towel at social events. In month 6, maybe you come to me and you're like, yeah, I've got a social event this weekend and I'm not worried about it. I know how to navigate it. It's not a big deal. I'm going to go enjoy myself. I'm going to eat X, Y, and Z, and I don't even have to think about it. That is where we're starting to get in month 6. All of this is feeling a lot easier. And those things that used to feel like really big roadblocks for you, they're not tripping you up quite as much. But I want to normalize the third thing that you can expect is this might still feel clunky at times, especially in what we consider quote unquote harder situations. So maybe around certain friends. when you're traveling. The holidays are a big one that are coming up. Anytime you have like a busy week at work or a stressful or emotional event, those are all harder situations to practice your new health and fitness behaviors. And we know that in these harder situations, your old behaviors, so the things that you used to do before you started working with me or working on your health and fitness goals, those are always going to want to be your default in these harder situations at first. And when we're only 6 months in, we could still be at a point where these new behaviors feel hard in those harder situations. So, over the holidays, this is why the holidays can be such a hard event and why it's so helpful to have the support of a coach during the holidays. Because maybe you've been crushing it up to this point, but you know that when there are like a million treats right in front of you, it's really hard for you to enjoy them in moderation. Or maybe you know that when you're around your family, it's really hard to stick to the new health and fitness behaviors you've been building, and you're around your family for the entire holidays. So I just want to normalize that 6 months in, we are still at a point where these behaviors are fresh enough that they might feel a little bit clunky. And when we're in those harder situations, it is normal that we might want to revert back to some old behaviors. But the final thing that you can expect in month 6 is that your self efficacy has improved a lot. And if you don't know, your self efficacy is basically your belief that you can overcome hurdles and be successful in reaching your goal. So you're not worried that this isn't for you. You are not no longer worried that you will have no shot at being successful in reaching your health and fitness goals. And with 6 months under your belt of proving to yourself time and time again that you can follow through, you can practice these new behaviors, you can truly make choices that you're proud of, your self efficacy has improved so much. You are truly believing that this is so possible for you. And when your self efficacy has improved this much, those harder situations that we just chatted about, it becomes easier to stick to your goals in those moments because you still believe that this is so possible for you. So, not only sticking to your goals in those moments, but also bouncing back from any, setbacks or hurdles a heck of a lot quicker because you're not questioning if this is worth it. You're not questioning if this is possible. You know it's possible for you. You have 6 months of proof, 6 months of evidence that you can do this. So it's a lot easier to overcome those hurdles and bounce back from those setbacks. So, what you can expect in month 6, you're going to start to feel like these behaviors are a lot easier and you're not having to think about them quite as much. You're also starting to realize that those hurdles, those big roadblocks, they're not feeling quite as much like hurdles anymore. This might still be clunky at times, especially in those harder situations that we talked about, but your self efficacy has improved so much that you're knowing that this is really possible for you. Now, this episode was really important to me because behavior change and jumping into a new health and fitness routine doesn't look like we'd expect it to. And like I said at the very beginning of this episode, a lot of us just assume, oh, well, I decided I want to do this thing. I decided I want to make these changes. So I'm just going to flip a switch and everything about my life is going to change. And I'm just going to be so motivated and I'm going to want this. And we just know that that is not the case. These first few months are going to feel clunky. And it was really important to me to normalize that because I don't want anyone giving up just because it feels hard in month 1 or even because it's still feeling hard in month 6. So I know this isn't the, sexy thing that we want to hear on social media where coaches are like, yeah, just give me 30 days and your life will transform. I don't want my clients just getting results for 30 days and then, needing to hire 10 more coaches over the course of their life. I want my coaches or I want my clients truly changing for good and getting results that they are going to have forever, which means that we are doing the deeper behavior change work, which means that at 6 months, we haven't completely locked in these habits for good. We're a heck of a lot closer to our dream life than we were in month 1. And we're feeling like all of these things are easier. But it's also very normal that these things still feel hard sometimes 1 month in. For some people, even 1 year, 2 year, 3 years in. This timeline is not linear and it looks different for every single person. And each month is going to feel a little bit easier, but I just want to normalize that we're still going to feel clunky. We're still going to feel like we're struggling sometimes. And that is very normal. And if you can remember that and you can come back to this episode in those hard moments, you're going to feel a lot more successful on this journey and you're going to be a lot less likely to give up. So that is all I've got for you guys. As always, if you're interested in working with me in one-on-one coaching, you can apply in my bio. And don't forget that I choose one person to win a free personalized fat loss blueprint every single month. So that is personalized nutrition and exercise recommendations. Plus, you're getting email access to me as you implement these things for a full 4 weeks. All you have to do to be eligible to win is share this episode on your stories and tag me, or leave a review and share that screenshot with me in the DMs. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you've got questions, comments, anything you want to chat about after listening to this episode, shoot me a DM. I am so excited to chat more with you guys, and we'll talk more next week.